Hello there, it's your pals from Beyond the Bench barging in to tell you about the newest creation from our sponsor, Knack Bags. If you're looking for a stylish new bag to accompany you for every trip to the beach, water park, mountain climb, or DMV visit, the Knack Sling Bag is the one you need.
Just like its bigger siblings, the Knack Sling Bag is built tough, impossibly stylish, and endlessly expandable for all your storage needs, but a third the weight and half the price. It's also available in 3 different colors, so you can look your best without getting sand in unpleasant places.
Just follow the link in the description to get yours today with free shipping on every order.
If you get your Knack Sling Bag, don't forget to post a picture of it on social media and tag us at Beyond the Bench 1 so we can see the amazing things you do with it.
Thank you to our friends at Knack Bags for sponsoring this episode. This is Beyond the Bench with Nick Morgasen and Nick Fodera. A look at sports and pop culture from beyond common sense. The show that constantly goes off the rails and might never get back on. When you don't belong, you're a bench warmer. On this show, there's no riding the bench. This is Beyond the Bench on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. Welcome, everybody, to a new episode of Beyond the Bench on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network, episode 34. Yes, I remembered how to count this week. That's Nick Fodera. I'm Nick Morgasen. It's been a very long week, and usually I'm in jest joking about that, but it's been a very long week.
It's been a very taxing week. Things we need to deal with, but we're dealing with, but we're getting past it, and we're stronger for it, right?
Yeah, and also, by the way, take a look at our new logos.
Yes. Brand spanking new. We got a special thanks to our new graphic designer, Allie, for creating that.
Amina.
Sorry, Amina. But yes, so thank you so much. They look fantastic, and really, we're more distinctive now.
Yeah, and also follow us across social media on ETV, on the Empty the Bench Podcast Network at ETV Network. Follow us on Twitter at Beyond the Bench 1, and same thing for Facebook and for Instagram as well. And also, we are now on TikTok for the Empty the Bench Network at ETV Network.
There will be exclusive clips actually for TikToks that won't be on social media. So make sure you're tuned to TikTok for more content.
Yeah, so we have a lot to get into. Also, our episode is presented by Knack Bags as well. A new product they have coming out. It's the Knack Sling Bag. It's half the price point of the original Knack Bag, which we liked. We actually really liked. But now, if you're looking for one of those cool sling bags that you take as a student to school, like you put it around your waist, it's half the price point. It fits. It's a little smaller, so you can carry it around with some of your products. It is great. Use our link down in the description, and you get free shipping on all orders if you use our description. Who doesn't like free shipping?
I like free shipping. Don't you?
Well, I like free, even though technicality free is not free, but that's a whole semantics argument.
It could be free. It could be free misery, and he wants it.
Well, it's free for the customer. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we have a lot to get into. Thanks to our interns as well for pulling some great stories this week for us.
Thank you to Sarah and Alex for helping us out this week. So, what have we got on the docket?
So, we're going to get smart this week, Nick. I know usually we don't say that very often. We're using our brains this week. Just be careful. You might hurt yourself. Did your brain just explode?
No, I think I think I just thought too hard. That happens sometimes.
That too, but that was like on Empty the Bench the week before, where you were trying so hard not to make a joke.
Oh yeah.
Don't make joke. Don't
not make joke.
So, all right. So here's what we're going to get into this week. Ukrainian sniper killed one of Putin's notorious mercenaries. We haven't talked about Putin in a while. We have not.
Yeah, we haven't.
Also, Canadian Prime-Minister Justin Trudeau tests positive for COVID-19. It seems like COVID-19 is like following us around like a bad itch on your back. Like it does. Like you have to keep scratching that itch.
Well, as much as the public health response on the federal level, and in some cases at the local level to COVID is basically just shrug emoji. It's not it's not over. I mean, you know that, I know that.
The whole world
But
knows that.
yeah, the whole world knows that. So
Also,
yeah.
al-
Also, what else?
yeah. Also, we'll get into some entertainment. I know that's the show we like to do around here. When people do dumb things, Nick, you and I are there to scoop it up. Like last week, and I'll go back to last week for a second. That story we did on Disney, where the couple decided to have Mickey and Minnie make a personal appearance over wedding food. That clip is going crazy on our social media account.
I knew it would, because the phenomenon of the Disney adult, it's definitely trending, and it's definitely worth debating. That's what we do with it. We're the analysis of stupidity experts.
See, you just read my mind. We're the analysis of stupid. So,
Yeah.
you want to know what the stupid story is this week?
What do we got?
Well, actually, there's a few. J-Lo being called entitled for saying that sharing the stage, the Super Bowl stage with Shakira was the worst idea in the world. We'll get into that.
Yeah, I do have thoughts about that, believe it or not.
Also, Alex, one of our two interns, really read me well because she put a story in about Rudy Giuliani's son, who is running for New York governor in the primary debate, had to debate virtually because he isn't vaccinated. You and I have some fun stories to tell as well, because Nick was asking me before in the pre-show meeting about some things. And since I never have to go back to that radio station and work there again, I have some fun stories to tell.
Yes, we do.
Also, some other stories. Rebel Wilson coming out,
which is again good for her, but the circumstances surrounding the outing, let's say, were less than ideal. But we'll get into that. Get into that a bit later.
Also, BTS is going on a hiatus. Yes, that popular boy band music group.
And every single 13-year-old girl in the Eastern Hemisphere just had a heart attack.
Oh, I was going to steal your line. Had a coronary, but yes.
Yeah.
Also, and yes, Nick, I broke my rule again this week.
More Kardashian madness.
Kourtney Kardashian eats vegan chicken and lingerie on a bed. What else is new? And finally, an Airbnb shuts down a woman's hidden camera, supposedly in a sprinkler. So, you ready to go?
Ready.
All right. So, we're going to start with the smart. Ukrainian sniper killed one of Putin's mercenaries. Now, Nick, we've been dealing with a lot of political nonsense between COVID and the loans on New York housing to
we talked a little bit. We talked a little bit about Elon Musk. We talked a little bit about Trump's Truth Social, patent pending, and but we try not to be a political podcast because we're not CNN here.
I mean, that's true.
Nor do we try to be. But this story was a little bit interesting because, I mean, the war in Ukraine really does, in all the hemming and hawing about inflation and, we'll talk about gas prices are expensive. And the war in Ukraine really seems to have taken kind of a back seat. It's like, we all cared about it for about a month and a half, and now we
forgot. It's gone. Like no one knows it exists.
We just completely forgot about it. And
I mean, do you remember? Like it was on the news every single day. They would say, "Oh, this many people died again today. Like the number's up to this." Or do you remember that chemical plant they kept trying to protect, and that Russia was trying to get into it and like trying to basically destroy it?
Yeah.
Like don't hear anything about that anymore.
It was a steel mill in the Donbass region, I think.
But this is crazy. I mean, killing one of Putin's major top guys, it's crazy.
Now, doing a little bit of Google foo because I need to be able to go to the.
It's in the story, isn't it?
Yeah, I need to be able to make sure that I'm pronouncing the names right.
Oh, I have it right here. Vladimir Adonov, I think is how you pronounce it. From the Wagner group of Russian mercenaries was the person who was killed.
Now, this Russian general was initially part of the first time that Russia invaded Ukraine back in 2014, and he's accused of Ukrainian sources of perpetrating war crimes, meaning shooting civilians, unarmed civilians, and the like. But apparently, he's been topped off by a Ukrainian sniper, and a lot of them, well, because he's one of Putin's top, you know, assets in the region, intelligence assets in the region, and since the start of this war, I mean, if you're looking for short term job advancement, be a Russian general serving in Ukraine, because these guys are dying by the bucket load.
Oh, wait a minute. You know it's bad when you see when I see the nickname of this guy, and it says his nickname is the Executioner.
Which is not really not really something you want to be called. You want to be called.
I don't know. I'm just tired of all the war and all the bullshit that goes on around the world. Just like,
However, I mean, we do find ourselves, I think, at an inflection point, because bad things are still happening. At least in the Donbass region every day, and you know, it's almost like we ignore it until something bad happens at our peril, and then we all sit around and wonder, well, how the hell did this happen? Oh yeah, it happened. You just didn't pay attention to it.
no, it's just la 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 la, not paying attention.
Yeah, because it doesn't have out of sight. I hate to say it, but most Americans' reaction to global news is, if it didn't happen to me, it didn't happen.
Well, or if it didn't happen where I am, it didn't happen.
Yeah, out of sight, out of mind.
Hear no evil, see no evil,
Evil,
speak no evil. I mean, that's really what this is. I mean,
that is really what this is.
I mean, we all know what Putin is as a person. Like,
yeah, we all know he's crazier than a shithouse rat. And I'm not going to be and I'm not going to be speculating about his health, or any kind of or
I mean,
or any kind of, because they've been doing a lot of that, a lot of those rumors in recent days. But we know what he is, and we know what he's actually trying to do in this region, and ignoring him is not something that we should do. But I don't think that we should. How should I put this? Getting into another war, or getting more involved in this than we already are.
well, wait a minute.
Might not be a good idea.
I mean, we're already involved because Biden keeps sending billions and billions and billions of dollars over there.
That's the one bipartisan issue that everybody can agree on.
I mean, and again, you don't like talking politics on this show. I don't like talking politics on this show. We're just pointing out how we honestly feel about these things. And if you keep sending billions and billions and billions of dollars from the U.S. to Ukraine, whose pockets is it going to hit?
Well,
eventually, whose pocket is it going to hit? The
eventually,
taxpayer.
Yeah, eventually it is, but it's not. It's not to say that those resources aren't needed.
No,
they are.
No. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, though, if you keep sending that amount of money over there, our taxes are going to go through the roof.
But I don't blame. I don't blame. I mean, the war in Ukraine is really one of the reasons why inflation is so high.
Well, look at oil.
Yeah, and we are, and that's one of the key drivers of inflation. But people really do seem to be blaming Biden for it. But the region, it's basically because there's a major war in Europe. That's why inflation is being driven so high. Well, that and corporate greed, but still.
Oh, wait a minute. You know what's ironic, though? We don't get along with Russia, but where does our oil come from?
Well, it comes from Russia, it comes from the Middle East, and it comes from
no. But I'm saying is
South America.
No. But I'm saying we're doing deals with Russia for oil, and we're trying to take down Putin. Think about that.
I mean, it is kind of hypocritical.
That's my point. Like, we have all these deals. When the war started, gas prices were close to $5 a gallon here in New York.
And they still are all these months later.
Look at California. My uncle who lives in California, it's like close to 7.
Jesus Christ.
No one can. You want to know why people are not traveling on the roads and driving and a business and economy are down? Because people can't drive. It's too expensive.
They can't afford it. They can't go anywhere to buy things. And even if they can buy things, it's too expensive.
It costs more for a gallon of gas than it does to buy something in certain aspects.
Yeah. But I mean, I really think that this situation is a lot more complex than a lot of news media would like you to believe.
No, the news media, and since again, I'm going to say this because I worked in it. They pull the lampshade over your eyes. They don't want you to. They don't want you to hear the real, honest truth when it comes to the economy. Everyone wants you to think the economy is great and nothing is wrong. Seriously, our economy is in trouble.
If there's something wrong with it, they won't say the reason why there's something wrong with it. They'd rather just push this bullshit narrative because there's midterm elections coming up.
Right?
And what exactly could that mean?
And that's the problem here. The economy has a lot of issues. Are we coming out of it slowly? Yes, we are. But we still have major issues when it comes to oil, when it comes to commerce, when it comes to all these other things. Again, we don't like politics. This is not a political show. This is us just voicing the opinions of the stories that we have. And I hate to say this, the war has caused economical issues for the world.
Yeah, it has. Moving on.
Whew. All right, from one killing to COVID. So COVID is back in the news. Canadian Prime-Minister Justin Trudeau tests positive for COVID-19. I'll let you handle this one first.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I don't know what you know about Canadian COVID policies. I mean, I don't know either because
they're worse than here.
Of course, I'm not Canadian. What do you mean worse than?
They're stricter.
Well, I mean, the policy around here is pretty much just, hey, let him get infected.
So in Canada, at least from what I understood when I had to study this stuff for my last job, you couldn't even get in the borders. Do you remember that?
You still can't.
And think about this: when the Raptors players and do you remember when we were talking about, and going back to sports for a second, when the rumor was that some Yankees were not going to be able to make the trip to Canada
because some of them weren't vaccinated at the time.
So you literally have to be vaccinated to be anywhere in Canada.
Which is, you know what? It's not a terrible idea.
I agree.
You need to be able to take this shit seriously, because again, other than like I said before in the intro, the public health response to COVID over the past couple of months has been, I guess we did everything we could. I mean, we're all tired, right? So can't we go back to living our lives?
You know what idiot I should blame, since we're talking about Boris Johnson?
I mean, yeah, pretty
Do you remember at the height of the pandemic, he was going out to parties?
Yeah, that's a reason why he had this whole no contest, no confidence. I don't know why I said no contest, but no confidence vote that he just barely survived.
But that's my point. Boris Johnson went out and said, "Oh, I'm in power. I don't have to follow the rules of where I am."
And stop trying to minimize it. I mean, because it's not going to go away. Otherwise, we're going to be dealing with more and more variants and more immune escape. Every single expert has been telling you that. Well, the ones, of course, that don't have book deals, the ones, of course, that aren't using this to shamelessly advance their career, but
or podcast deals. We could throw that in there.
That's a conversation for another day. And we just found out recently that Dr. Anthony Fauci, had tested positive for COVID, but I think this is not the first time that he's.
I think I think maybe he's had it one other time. I think, but the point is, COVID is not gone. It's not gone, and we're now heading into summer again. What has happened the past 2 summers every time, Nick?
There's always been a surge.
So, and I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but it's possible. The track record has proven it.
you need to make sure that it doesn't happen. That's the thing.
Well, everyone's going to be at the beach. Everyone's going to be at the concerts outside. Well, I don't need a mask. COVID's over.
No one's gonna check, so why should I wear a mask? I recently took a civil service test at a high school not far from where I live, and it was a packed house. Pretty much like 400 people were looking to get into the school that day, and it was in the classroom because again this was a high school, the French classroom to be more accurate. There were like 25 people in the classroom. Me and two other black women were the only people that bothered to wear a mask.
Was there social distance?
Everybody else, and mind you, outside the school, the line is stretched out the door, down the street, and around the block.
Was there social distancing?
What's social distancing?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, if were all the people right on top of one another?
But they were all crammed together because it was raining, and
Oh, that's a perfect excuse. Oh, it's raining. Yeah. I don't know.
Which bring your umbrella, you idiots. But could you at least just show some common courtesy? Please.
Well, Nick, there's no common courtesy in the world anymore.
There's not. And it makes me sad. It really does.
I mean, I don't know. But if you're still seeing major leaders getting COVID, it's not gone yet.
No, it's not gone yet, unfortunately. But it's this stubborn insistence on not locking things down, not bringing back mask mandates when we know they work. We know they work. We've known they work for about a year and a half now.
I mean,
doing this for too long. And I'm sick of it too. Believe me, do you think I really want to be walking around everywhere with an N95 on my face? Do you really think that I like actually having coming close to panic attacks when I'm actually near other people in the office and I have my mask off to eat?
Well,
do you think I like that? No.
I mean, Nick,
people, you leftists are addicted to lockdown. No. We hate. Believe me, I hate it. I hate it.
Right.
I hate it. I don't want to live like this.
I mean, the one thing I would say, Nick, is that I don't think you can live in complete fear for the rest of your life. Like, we have to move on and do some things. Like,
but I need to protect myself.
No. That I agree with you, but I'm just saying is we can't live in a mask mandate hell forever. Is my point. Like,
I understand that, but you could at least show some consideration for the people around you.
No, if you're in a large group of people, that's
I'm not saying you specifically.
Right.
I'm saying you collectively.
No. But what I agree with you is if you're in a large group of people, like, and you can't move around and there's no air circulation or whatever, then yeah, you might have to wear a mask because you don't know who is sick and who isn't. The big thing is, and I hear this constantly. One of my friends has been telling this because he's been going back and forth to the city every day. He works in one of the big radio companies. Excuse me. He said that like no one wears masks in a large area of it. And I'm like, well, is there a lot of people around? He's like, yeah, people are just like sardines pushed in there. I'm like,
and yet you're surprised when these things happen.
Well, I'm not surprised, but
again, you meaning collectively,
right? And what people need to realize is, and I've said this already, COVID is kind of like the new flu. Like, it's going to come back in some short form every spring or summer. It's the new flu. That's pretty much all I can say about it at this point. All right, let's move away from using our brains to having some fun and entertainment. This story, which Alex found, kind of made me laugh. J-Lo being called entitled for saying sharing the Super Bowl stage with Shakira was the worst idea in the world. I guess we could say the hips really don't lie, do they?
I mean, in terms of global, but in terms of fame, because I think that's why the reason why she said that was because she felt did she feel like Shakira didn't belong on the same stage with her, or
Well, first of all, they both have massive followings, the two of them.
especially internationally
Right. So I do think J-Lo is still probably the bigger name in this case.
in this country at least.
No, but I still think she's the bigger name, period. She always will be. She's been in movies, she's done music, she's done TV. Shakira has also. She was on The Voice. She was one of the coaches on The Voice. She's done other TV shows. She's done late night. Her music is big internationally, like you said.
Yeah,
But,
and her non-English language stuff.
right. But I think it was kind of low class.
Yeah, it was a little. It was a little. I mean, why the fuck would you do that?
And by the way, and I'm sure we talked about this on Empty the Bench after this halftime show. They looked like strippers on a pole.
I mean, you got into. I guess they wanted to entertain the crowd some way.
No,
I
but
wouldn't have done it like that.
Don't get me wrong. I like Shakira's music and I like J-Lo's music, but like when they started doing like the whole pole routine, it wasn't a halftime show anymore.
I mean, if they're not being forced to do those things, I mean, I really don't have anything to say.
But I just think they tried too hard. Like, and I do agree in some aspects, not the way J-Lo is saying it, but it's two big names clashing on the same stage.
I mean, yeah. Look, at this point, look, you pretty much expect. Why don't you just get Mariah Carey on the stage here just to make sure we get the full experience?
Oh, don't get me started with Mariah Carey, please.
Let's just go full 3-on-3 cage match diva style.
Well, the problem is Mariah would be lip syncing through the whole thing, so it doesn't matter. Yes.
Now watch. Now we pissed off every Mariah fan.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's just. Apparently, they're doing a Netflix documentary called Halftime, and that's where she made the quote.
But again, I mean, you gotta give Shakira respect where respect is due. I mean, come on.
Shakira is one of the biggest international names, period.
Yeah, exactly. But looking, like I said, looking beyond the English language stuff, in terms of international appeal, there are more people collectively all over the world that know her.
Well, I'm not disagreeing. I said I like Shakira's
can
music.
sing her songs.
And she also has one of the biggest soccer anthems of all time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the Waka Waka song?
I think. I'm not sure.
I
No,
think
Waka Waka is that's Fozzie Bear.
or Waka Flocka or whatever it's called. I
don't remember.
Am I getting my names confused? I feel like I'm talking about a bad Sesame Street joke.
Yeah, Waka Waka is Fozzie Bear.
But I don't know. I'm not surprised by this. J-Lo has an ego, and I mean, heck, you have to have an ego to date and almost marry Alex Rodriguez.
I mean, look, in order to date somebody from the business of, let's say, Hollywood, you already have to be a certain type of person to do it. I mean, they don't go for humble very much. So,
I mean, there's no humble pie, as you would say here, right?
No, you don't eat humble pie. you don't eat pie, and you especially don't eat humble pie.
No, instead of eating the pie, they're throwing it in each other's faces.
Yeah.
The problem is, some sick men would actually like get off on that.
But then what's he doing with the pie after?
No, stop it.
All right, moving on.
But speaking of pie throwing and sick jokes, Rudy Giuliani's son to join New York governor primary debate virtually because he isn't vaccinated. I could so go to town on this.
So Rudy Giuliani's son, Andrew Giuliani, is currently running for New York governor in the GOP primary against the Democratic incumbent, Kathy Hochul. And I don't know if you've seen any of the coverage of the New York GOP candidates, but it's like a mudslinging match between who's more Trumpy than the other one.
I mean, I don't know. This.
And they did it virtually because Andrew Giuliani is not vaccinated. I think because he refuses to do so.
Yeah, he refuses.
He refuses to do so. So every time he had a point to make, which is basically just President Trump loves me more. No, President Trump loves me more. How dare you say that, you son of a bitch? They would cut to him. The camera crew would cut back to him. There was the debate stage with the other 3 candidates, and then there was him in a remote location all by his lonesome.
That reminds me, was that when the presidential debate was happening and the Democrats had like 18 candidates and they had to do it in like 3 separate rows? Like they needed like a whole other 2 hours of
it's
debate.
Like a children's choir singing "We Are the World."
Hey, don't insult that song. I actually like it. I like that song. Come on.
We are the world.
You're gonna get us copyrighted now. Thanks.
Between this and the Nickelback thing earlier in the week.
Well, most people go watch the episode of
Empty the Bench if you don't know what we're talking about.
But this whole thing just makes me want to do this.
Get the out of here.
By the way, just so I can opine in, because I am a resident of New York State, Andrew Giuliani doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of becoming governor.
Especially with his father.
Especially with his father turning out to try to torpedo he's torpedoed his own legacy. I mean, all you had to do
was be quiet.
All you had to do was say nothing, and you would have gone down in history as America's mayor. Now you are America's crazy uncle. The uncle we don't visit anymore.
Nick, you're being too nice.
I'm trying to be magnanimous because you're the one who's actually had to deal with Rudy directly.
Let's just put it this way. So I was telling Nick before, again, in pre-show meetings.
Rudy is also in the news because of the January 6th hearings happening, concurrently with when we're recording this. And during the testimony earlier in the week, not to switch topic to another Giuliani, but multiple members of then President Trump's campaign were saying that Rudy was completely three sheets to the wind, fucked up, shit-faced drunk on election night. And I wanted to know if that was true, or if that sounded like something he would do.
Oh, so
I figured I would go directly to the source, as in you are the closest source I have to what rattles around inside Rudy Giuliani's mind.
Well, remember, Nick, I was on the board election night when all that stuff went down, if you remember.
So what can you tell me? Does that sound like something he would do?
Yes, and it's true. It's true. He was a little... And let's put it this way. They were all at a steakhouse. I don't want to give the location of buildings. That's not fair to them. But my point is they were not too far away at a nice steakhouse, working remotely while I was dealing with 3 other people in the studio. So I was literally dealing with 6 hosts, 3 in studio, 3 remotely, including the owner of the radio station who should not be on the air, Rudy, and Governor Pataki. I'm not even kidding you either.
Which is, it's a star-filled lineup of talent. I got to tell you.
Well, and you're saying that facetiously, which is true. But let's put it this way: when I used to produce his show in Board Up, and when he was remote, I could hear it too. I told Nick that he would pick up a glass, and all of a sudden you would hear that fancy, like, large ice cube in a Scotch glass.
You would hear clinking. You wouldn't hear, like, with this water bottle, it's like, well, because it's empty. But you would hear like the clinking of
you would hear
like a tumbler glass.
You would hear like the ice hitting the side of the Scotch.
And he wasn't exactly drinking apple juice.
No, because his show was on there was different iterations. So sometimes it was on 3 to 5, sometimes it was on 4 to 6. So for him, it was always 5 o'clock somewhere.
Even when it actually was 5 o'clock, then it was 4.
Right. So, and when I was running the board for that show, and again, since I never have to go back to this place, I could give two shits what they say because this is my recollection of what went down. Excuse me.
You were there that day.
I was there, and I'm talking about in general when I used to run his shows. So he would drink, and it's bullshit if he lies and says he didn't. He clearly was because he would slur his words. And you couldn't understand him, and it would be on delay, and I'd have to have my hand near the dump button because I was afraid of half the crap that was going to come out of his mouth. And yes, I guarantee you he was fucked up. And I heard that speculation as well when I was at the radio station that night.
So there you have it, folks. He broke news.
Well, there's no broken news. It's pretty obvious. Even if I didn't tell you, it would have been true.
Oh, God.
And his son is dumber, I think, than he is.
I mean,
I didn't think that was possible.
He's got Rudy's charm, Rudy's brain power, and Gary Busey's teeth.
Ouch. I've heard that
It's a
name.
winning combination if I've ever heard one.
I haven't heard Gary Busey's name in a long time. Ouch.
Oh, God. Moving on.
It's one giant clusterfuck. But anyway, now we're going to move on to something a little more serious that actually needs our brain power again. So plug in for this one. So Rebel Wilson came out after a journalist planned to make her new relationship public. Now, I have a question for the journalist here. So
I'm not a journalist but anymore, but
you have that experience.
I have that experience. I have that training, yes.
So when celebrities have personal situations and somehow the journalists manage to get the story, don't you think that's like very hitting below the belt? A personal
Absolutely,
story?
it's hitting below the belt. It's absolutely not fucking fair. It's prying into the personal life, and it's not really in the interest of news. If it was something newsworthy having to do with her sexuality, then you could say, but the fact that she is, well, I mean, if it's proper to say, if she is a lesbian, or if she is bisexual, or or not straight, to be as broad.
See, I don't know what the politically.
It's not anybody else's business.
Oh, wait a second. Wait a second. I don't even know what the politically correct term is anymore. Okay.
Queer, I guess.
No, but I'm just saying in general because when you say one thing, bad, you can't say that, and then when you say the other word, they say it's bad too.
But you could say lesbian.
What I'm saying is there's so many politically correct terms out there now.
But again, she is she is in a same-sex relationship,
which is fine. And you know what?
But which is, you really see, this is something that people who are still in the closet and really need to stay and really feel like they need to stay there. This is your worst nightmare, because it's obvious that Wilson wasn't ready to have the public know about it.
And you know what's crazy to me also, that
it's a sleazy thing to do. It's a tabloid journalism movement. It's a tabloid journalism move.
And didn't Rebel Wilson also go through the whole weight loss journey also?
Yeah.
So
yeah, she had lost a lot of weight, and of course they were hounding her about that, because I thought you're supposed to be fat. Be fat. Or
by the way,
or if you're supposed to be skinny, be skinny.
And by the way, I'm getting tired of that too. Like, well, the media determines what you should look like and how you should feel and all this nonsense.
Yeah, exactly. Our wonderful intern and partner Sarah just wrote in the chat, producers did not want her to lose weight. And again, that's another form of misogyny, where you are kind of pigeonholed as the funny fat person.
You know what?
A female Chris Farley, and that's not. That's an awful box to be put in when you don't want to be like that.
And by the way,
you don't want to be seen as only what they perceive you as.
And that, by the way, that's fucked up. The producers don't want you to lose weight.
Yeah, it is fucked up, because they looked at her and it's like, you're only the funny fat person.
But wait a minute. You know what that reminds me of? And you can't say it anymore today. That reminds me of Fat Albert.
What do you mean? Well, Fat Albert was a cartoon.
No, but like when people were overweight, they used to call you Fat Albert. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's a good point. Because
because if someone walked by overweight, they'd say, "Hey, it's Fat Albert." Like you can't do that anymore.
You can imagine what people used to say to me.
And first of all, it's ridiculous. And I was going to say about this story, I can relate to her. Like she was pressured to release her news because a journalist was threatening to do it.
Yeah, and it's obvious that she didn't want to share it yet, or even if she had plans to share it at all. I mean, like I said, it's nobody's fucking business who she wants to date or not date.
And you know what? I have a few family members in my family that are gay. Okay, like
I have a cousin who's trans. So
like people need to relax and take a chill pill. And the journalists in the media who feel that they need to pressure.
These are tabloid merchants. Again, these guys have no scruples.
And guess what? I'm surprised they even put the name on the article. Usually when these controversial stories, they don't put the name on the article. You know why? Because they're sleazy.
Or, the publication's just trying to make money off of them being turned into a content mill, but that's beside the point.
And by the way, Rebel Wilson doesn't need to prove anything to anybody. Do you see her following on social media? She doesn't need to prove anything to anybody.
She's doing pretty well for herself, all things considered.
I mean, she wrote columns. She basically had to come out, and she did it in full force. All because of a dumb journalist. And you know what? I'm going to say the guy's name because I think he's a piece of shit. David Artavia is the guy's name.
Wait,
let me take that back. That's this article. Sorry, that's this article. Let me see if I can find the actual person.
I don't know if they actually said it.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
But we apologize.
Yeah, my bad.
It wasn't you.
Not
you. I mean, it's a scumbag thing to do. I mean, from a journalist perspective, this is not what you are supposed to do. You are supposed to, again, one of the things that we are taught is to do no harm. And by reporting, if you're harming somebody who is not, who is in the closet in any way and not your business, and it's not newsworthy whether she's gay or straight, then you shouldn't be reporting on it.
I found the name. Australian gossip columnist Andrew Hornery is the person.
Of course, it's always the gossip columnist.
So, David, I'm sorry. My mistake. My mistake. But I could give two shits. A gossip columnist? That's a job?
Yeah, apparently it is still a job.
Really?
Apparently this is still a thing we do.
And let me guess, he probably goes around and tells people he's a journalist, right?
I mean, yeah, probably. Or columnist.
Last time I checked, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, a columnist is not a journalist.
A columnist is an opinion haver.
Thank you. My point. This is just... This one made me like my skin crawl. Like, just all because of the pressure of journalism. You had to release news you weren't ready to release yet.
You know what? Having to have something that's clearly you're not ready to share, having it be dragged out of you, I mean that's tough. That's got to be tough. And all my sympathies go to Rebel Wilson.
By the way, these are the people, Nick, that I want to interview and find out what goes on in their head when they say that they're going to release a story on somebody. That's the person I want to interview and find out what's going on in their head.
Well, what's going on in their head is I need to get paid somehow.
Right. So destroying someone's life is the way to do it?
They see it as a job.
Right, but
this is my job, this is what I do.
And by the way,
you're not stopping to think about the morality of it, even though you kind of should.
And by the way, one tweet or one Instagram post destroying his name could be the end of his career if she went that route. But she's not going to do that.
Yeah,
she knows better.
Yeah, but she's not going to do that. So
I'm just saying she could destroy him.
She very well could.
But It's called taking the high road.
She could sue for prior restraint, but that's kind of like the Streisand effect. It would do more harm than it would good. You've heard of the Streisand effect?
Yes, I have. Yeah, it's called taking the high road, which you and I had to do this week. But that's a story for another.
That's it. That's a story. That's a story for another show.
All right, let's move on. Let's talk some more music and more entertainment. BTS is going on hiatus.
Now, that moaning sound you faintly heard in the background is every 13-year-old girl in America just weeping their eyes out.
I mean,
so BTS is going on a. Did they say how long a?
It's a sabbatical.
It's a sabbatical. So, for those of you who don't know anything about Korean boy bands,
K-pop,
K-pop bands, get in line, because you don't cut in front of us. So, it's one of those things. As soon as that started to become, like not just popular, but like mega super, hundreds of billions of views on YouTube, and I'm seeing them everywhere. It's like that's the time when I really started to feel old.
I mean, I'll give you a comparison. Remember when Taylor Swift came out and she became the next big thing, and she was everywhere, and all. Or actually, I'll give you.
I still remember when 98 Degrees was a thing.
Oh God, you're like really going out there on a limb.
My brother's first crush was on Britney Spears, circa "Baby One More Time."
Oh.
TRL was a very, very big fixture in my house at a certain point. Not because I was a fan of it, but believe me, because I really didn't have a favorite genre of music back then. But still,
don't get me wrong.
That's when I started to feel old.
I like Britney Spears when I was a kid too, but like you move on when crazy becomes crazy. She's become crazy.
Or she went crazy, then a couple of years passed, and now everybody nobody thinks she's crazy anymore. So, circle of life.
Yeah, really. I mean, but
so BTS.
So they're a group of seven. Yeah. Group of seven
people, and of course all the Korean pop band, the K-pop bands are like 7 to 10 people. It's like the touring lineup for a Chicago concert.
But they became like the biggest of all time. Like
they became ultra. I'm talking about fuck you famous.
And also they had their own meal at McDonald's. Let's put it that way.
Yes, they did, among other things. Fabulously wealthy, but I really do. Reading their statement that they put out yesterday, where they felt like we're not allowed when you're in this business. You're not allowed to grow. You're not allowed to. People just want you to be one thing that they like, and they want you to be that forever. I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt for her.
But you know what's crazy though?
Gotta be terrible. It's gotta be tough.
Usually, when a group like starts to, and it's not even break up, because they clearly said they're not breaking up.
They clearly said we're not breaking up. We're just taking some time apart.
But you know what's crazy? All 7 of them have solo projects. How rare is that?
And they're all going to sell like hotcakes.
But how rare is that a group of 7, all of them have solo projects?
Because everybody has their famous favorite one, just like they did with the Backstreet Boys. But what's weird about it is all 7 of their members seem to have these weird fan bases that each of them have cultivated.
John Cook.
It's not a collective thing.
What is that guy's name? John Cook, I think is the. Yeah, he's one of the. I see that hashtag trending.
John Cook. I think
right.
That's how you say it.
It's always trending on social media. Him, just. And BTS is always trending, and they were on big tours. I told you they had a BTS meal at McDonald's where you got like this huge, massive thing you shared with 4 people.
As big as they are here, they're even bigger back home in South Korea. So,
forget it. You wouldn't. They would walk
around the world. Can you imagine what it must be to have to travel?
I mean, there were groups like you said, the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. That's kind of the equivalent of when we were younger to what they are now.
Bigger.
And
it's even bigger because it's a multilingual phenomenon.
That's true. Big Time Rush.
Country phenomenon.
Big Time Rush was another one.
There would be somebody living in the most bigger than One Direction too. Because I guarantee you, there is somebody living at the top of a mountain in the most remote country in the world, and I guarantee you, they've at least heard of BTS.
I mean, One Direction was big, but One Direction went through a pitfall, and broke up.
Because they got old and they weren't baby faced anymore, and they were like, "Hey, maybe Harry Styles was the only talented one."
Well, no, now you have Harry Styles doing what the hell is that song called? Watermelon Sugar, I think is what it's called.
What?
Yeah, I'm looking it up now because I can't remember.
It sounds like a flavor of Pixie Stick.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, it is called Watermelon Sugar. Right. Okay.
As it was, according to Sarah, that's the album that he just put out.
But
Because he's apparently trying to go the white Michael Jackson route.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but the weird thing is those guys actually had pretty decent solo careers also.
Yeah, and look, for those of you, if there are any 14-year-old girls or girls of a certain age listening to this podcast right now, well, first of all, hi.
Yes.
Second of all, don't feel too bad. They'll be back. Besides, they didn't die. They didn't go anywhere. You can always just listen to their records again.
They announced that it was a sabbatical.
I'm dating myself. You can always stream their albums on Spotify or on Tidal or on Apple Music or anywhere else.
All right, Grandpa, find the Blue Plate special.
Goddamn kids won't get off my lawn.
I mean, so it's a sabbatical. They're coming back.
It's a sabbatical.
There's too much money for them not to be made as a group.
There's too much. Because that's what I think people want. You know what? I think that most people in this world, they don't want to be famous, but they want to be wealthy. Because when you think about if you dreamt of being like a rock star, I don't know if you dreamt about being famous, where everybody knew your name. You dreamt about having lots of money to do stuff.
Well, wait a minute.
Have you ever tried being famous without having money?
Well, that was the
That's
line
gotta be terrible.
where you just said everybody knows your name. That's the Cheers line where they show up in the bar.
Yeah, everybody knows who you are. You can't hide, but you're still broke.
Right. And Norm, like if he'd just be famous.
Yeah.
Like he was, I forgot what his job was, but that was like the typical average everyday people, friend group sitting in a bar, not necessarily making any money. They were just well known.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what to believe about boy bands anymore because like you'll see the next big one come up after BTS.
Oh, they're like a billion different K-pop bands, and they all because you've got all women, you've got K-pop bands that span different genres that do different things, and I'm not gonna understand any of it.
I'm just gonna.
I'm just gonna sit over here and continue to not get it.
You'll just continue listening to Nickelback songs. I don't know. I grew up on the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and all that stuff, and I don't know. That's just me. But
I remember when Justin Timberlake had frosted tips. Damn it!
Oh God! Wow! Now you're really predating everything. You're making me feel old.
Well, they all wore Adidas tracksuits for some reason.
Oh, stop! Jeez, you want to make? Why don't we just
like they're Russian mobsters coming from Brighton Beach?
Oh my God, Jesus! All right, let's move away.
Hold on, yeah.
Oh, good. We're gonna break my rule now, Nick. Here we go. Kourtney Kardashian eats vegan chicken in lingerie. As our intern Sarah said before the show, what have they not done?
What have they not done? I mean, like I said in the pre-show meetings, I would say porn is the final frontier. But considering, what happened to get the Kardashian family name on our radar after the OJ trial, porn was really the first frontier.
I mean, for most people who don't know, does sex tape ring a bell?
Yeah. So at a certain point, look, like I said before, when you grow up, when you're thinking about being a celebrity, are you thinking about everybody knowing your name? Is that what you really want, or do you want the money associated with it?
I'll answer that.
I'm not saying you specifically, but I'm just saying.
No. I'm saying what they would answer.
Because if you were like 7 years old and you asked a 7-year-old kid, what does being a celebrity mean to you? Ask them to define it, and they would be like, "Oh, I live in a huge house, and I have a lot of butlers, and I have a rocket car, and I have several pet chimpanzees." They're not talking about, I want to be chased in the airport to so I can't act, or I would have to go to a restaurant in a baseball cap so I don't
God.
get recognized.
I mean, what people don't realize when you become famous, like influencer, you are so pressured to perform and outperform every video and every piece of social media or digital video you do.
Yeah, and in Kourtney Kardashian's, she is a business unto herself. Even if she was the only Kardashian we knew about,
But you know what's
she's competing with her sisters, but she's also a business unto herself.
the Kardashian name is a brand by itself, but at the same
Yeah.
time, I would just say they don't give a fuck anymore. All that they will do as dumb a shit as they want because they know everyone's going to click on it and watch
They
it.
know, again, it's a stupid game, but they know how to play it like experts.
And the worst part is, so apparently,
It might seem stupid to me, but you know what? Considering what people do in this world for money, I can't really begrudge them that much.
but you want to know the reason why they did the photo? Do you?
Yes.
Apparently, it has to do with veganism.
Oh, promoting veganism?
Yes. So their way of promoting veganism was to basically eat vegan chicken in lingerie. That was their way to.
So this is basically the more earth conscious version of those Carl's Jr.'s and Hardee's ads they had a couple of years ago that everybody was angry about.
Pretty much, yeah. But
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't know. This is so stupid. I'm done with the Kardashians. I wish they would just disappear.
You say that, but next week we're going to find the Kim Kardashian conducts secret affair with auto mechanic from Bergen County, New Jersey.
What? Why? I mean, is Pete Davidson
Would you really? Again, he could be the auto mechanic from Bergen County, New Jersey.
That's true. I didn't think about that. But, well, or you know what? We'll hear a story that Kim and Kanye are back together again.
Oh, God. And you know what? The cycle starts again and again, and the wheel continues to turn.
God. All right. I'll move on for this because I could say a lot of nasty things, but I'm not going to. So, last story. Airbnb shuts down women's hidden cam in sprinkler claims.
So I'm a little confused about this story, and when you sent it to me, I was like, I still don't get it. But
so I have the story here. So apparently, this woman and her friends were staying at an Airbnb, and the TMZ put the alleged pictures. A woman thought she raised a serious safety issue while staying at an Airbnb, claiming the home was fitted with hidden cameras in its fire sprinklers. But the company is shutting the allegation down, working with the cops to make sure everything is okay. And the woman posted all the pictures saying there's cameras in here, and they're in the bathrooms and in the showers, and basically all creeper things.
Yeah.
So
now that I think about it, yeah.
So apparently the rep, because they worked with a detective, quote, confirmed that he did not find any hidden or undisclosed cameras and that the fire sprinklers had regular sprinkler heads. The detective also confirmed that they plan to close this case. Regardless, Airbnb says they still appreciate how the woman felt and will offer her support, including a refund.
So she was
cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah. Was that it? Yeah, that she was paranoid, thinking that somebody was. Which, you know what? I don't blame people for being paranoid because you never know, especially if you're a woman, you never know who's watching you.
I agree with you here. Like, first of all, cameras.
Everything has cameras on it now, and then they're easy to hide. Even the doorbell has a camera.
Well, isn't it true like in the FBI, like they hide cameras like in pens?
Oh, yeah.
Like in pens.
Yeah, exactly. Cameras in pens, in clothing, on desks, anywhere.
Well,
So
go ask Matt Lauer about that.
it's for a completely different reason. But um,
Well, actually, his was not the camera though. His was the apparent
his was the secret sexual assault button,
that would close the door.
which somehow someone was okay with that.
First of all, I thought that was
Someone
only.
was okay with that for years until people complained.
Wait a minute. I thought that was only in movies where they would put the button under the desk and it would close the door. I didn't think.
You would think so, but he's just that kind of inventive scumbag.
And by the way, before that whole thing happened, he was a really good guy on TV. Like really good guy on TV. But
it just goes to show you how well do you actually know people.
God, a Matt Lauer reference. Jeez,
Yeah.
what are we back in 2015?
Yeah, but still, I understand the impulse because again, we're all very high-strung people as a collective. Everything has cameras on it, and you always assume that somebody's spying on you.
Yeah, but wouldn't you be worried if you or paranoid if there was a camera in a bathroom or in a shower? Like that's scary as fuck.
I get paranoid when I'm standing in the path of the supermarket of a camera in a supermarket. So don't tell me about that. I always think somebody's watching me.
Well, and this is what I get annoyed with all the time. And at the college radio station that I worked at, they put Post-its over the camera on the computer,
camera.
and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?"
But again, I'm paranoid. Look, the camera that I use on top of my desktop here,
Right,
it folds downwards.
right.
It's recessed into the body of the.
Do you
computer.
fold
And
it
if
down after?
and if it no, it does that already.
Oh,
It's
wow.
it's spring loaded, believe it or not. So if it wasn't, I would be probably putting tape over the camera lens if I didn't need to use it.
Are you serious? Oh God.
If I could, if I couldn't just go like this, then I would be putting tape on it.
That Sarah just made a good point. Reminds me of the movie Snowden.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you know what? Credit go. I disagree with a lot of what Snowden's become lately, but again, it definitely needed to be said how much people were watching us.
I don't know. I just
It's like that old song that Michael Jackson did backing vocals for Rockwell.
Oh, Rockwell, yeah.
Somebody watching me. Exactly.
God. Please don't sing.
Yeah. You know what? Let me just cut this off at the knees and just
One will get copyrighted again, like Nickelback music.
Before I start doing a full song and dance review.
Even though if you go and watch that episode of Empty the Bench, that was a funny.
Which you really should. Which, by the way, if you so that will do it for this week's episode of Empty the Bench.
No, Beyond the Bench.
Beyond the Bench on the Empty the Bench podcast network. My brain is pretty much scrambled eggs at this point, and I don't know why that is.
By the way, so just make sure you follow us on social media across the ETB network, at ETB Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Yes, we finally made it there. And actually, we're doing well on there, too. We're getting a lot of traction on there. So go check us out.
Yeah, keep checking that out. Seriously.
Make sure you follow us across all social media platforms on Twitter, at Beyond the Bench One as well, on Facebook and Instagram as well. So please check us out. And also, we are presented by Knack Bags as well. Go and get your Knack sling bag. It's half the price of the original bag. And actually, there was one more line, if I can find the email, because I was talking to the woman who helps us out with Knack. She also just wanted me to let you know that our friends at Knack are having a one-time only sale as well, with select items over half off. Go to our link in the description and be the first to get your hands on these select Knack bags. It's on the homepage. So please go check that out, as they are discounting everything for half price.
So what that means is if you weren't able to get a Knack bag, the sturdy Knack bags that we were showing you in the first couple of weeks of the first couple of months, as a matter of fact, of the sponsorship, and you didn't get your chance because of for whatever reason, they're back for a limited time only, and they're half the price.
So go get that bag. Go get a Knack Sling Bag, the new product, and use our link in the description, and you will get free shipping across the way on the new product.
Yeah.
On the new product. So
Because who doesn't like free shipping? Because when you have free shipping, what kind of life is it?
it's a one bag life,
Exactly.
man.
So-
One bag life. Wait, what is that joke you made on Empty the Bench? You get out of the Jansport, or what? What did you?
Yeah. It's finally being free of the clutches of the Jansport mafia.
But all right, I think that's about it. I think
Yeah, I think we're just all about out of gas here. So
I think we should let everybody get back to their normal lives.
yeah, no more singing, no more Nickelback. It's big, yeah. So for my venerable co-host, Mr. Nick Morgasen, I'm Nick Fodera saying good night, everybody. See you back on the bench.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week for episode 35.